And I guess, should we wait just a second?
Yeah, let's give him a minute. I think Keith's probably giving some more instructions.
Yes, I would say so. Well, I'm excited to hear about your presentation. It looks very good.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate cute. I think a lot of people, it looks like a lot of people are still going to breakout rooms. Welcome, welcome everybody. We'll get started here in just a second. We're trying to make sure everybody gets a chance to get into the breakout rooms before we get started. So glad you've made it today on this very chilly Wednesday in January. If you're ready, Chip, I'll go ahead and introduce you. Sure. And we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. So glad you've decided to join us for creating a culture of excellence versus being the best parking lot principal in Kentucky. We are so glad to have Chip Southworth with us. He's an independent professional learning provider with a focus on teaching methods that develop perseverance and self-reliance, which are so important. He's a retired director of secondary education for Scott County. He was a principal of Scott County High School and a history teacher.
I'm trying to get there.
Why are so many people coming back to the main?
I think
like breakout rooms.
I think it kicked out, Keith.
Yeah, it kicked me
I
out.
was in a breakout room and it just kicked me back.
Here we go.
Here as well.
They closed.
They were set on a timer.
Yeah, I was going to say it said that in 4 seconds you'd be kicked out. So it sounds like there was a timer set.
Okay. We'll try that again.
Mary, am I back?
You are back, but you're going to need to reshare your screen again. So sorry.
Okay. That's fine.
Always a little bugs to work out.
We're getting another message that the breakout rooms will close in 50 seconds.
Oh my goodness, how on earth is that happening? Let's see, what is going on? Thank you. I don't know that we can stop it once it starts to close the breakout room. Sorry, guys. It's just the bugs getting worked out for this first session. I don't know. I don't think I have the ability to stop it. So that'll pull us back out and then we'll just come back in. Not sure.
Close after.
Yeah, maybe put no time on it. Don't.
Yeah, there's not a time. Counter 30 seconds. All right. All right, everybody. I'm going to open all the rooms again and we'll try this one more time. I apologize for the technical difficulties. So everyone should be able to now join your room again, the room that you want to go to for breakout session 1.
We'll try it one more time. Let's see. Give it just a second. I'm not seeing a message that it's going to pull us out. I don't know if you all are. All right. Do you want me to reintroduce you, Chip?
No,
Or
that's fine. I
you
would,
sure?
if you could maybe let, have Keith let us know if we still need to stop at 9:30, maybe sometime. I'll stop and let them do a few things, but
Okay.
so I just kind of know my time. But
All righty, will do. I'll check with him.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well,
Thank you so much.
I really don't know who or how many are on here, but I appreciate you all being part of this session. I was a teacher at Scott County High School for 12 years. I was high school principal and assistant principal for 8, and I was director of secondary schools in Scott County. But I'm blessed right now because I'm an independent consultant that focuses on teaching methods to help kids become more perseverant and self-reliant. But why I think some of you all joined this was the headline of how to create a culture of excellence. And when I was principal at Scott County High School, as you walked into our building, it says creating the culture of excellence. And as I defined that to my students and my teachers and everybody on my staff, what that meant is everybody worked to his or her potential. And that was the line. But I'm going to start with a little story that kind of put that culture of excellence message in peril a little bit. One morning I was going to observe a teacher, and first period, had all my evaluation tools, had my clipboard, had everything going, walking through the hall, and I was stopped in the hall by a teacher who was livid. And I was a high school principal, and those that are high school principals understand what the parking lot means to you. And she said that there was a student that she had in class that hadn't been to class all week, was in the back parking lot, and he or she didn't have a parking pass. And what are you going to do about it? And at that moment right then, I had to figure out, did I want to create a culture of excellence, or do I want to be the best parking lot principal in the state of Kentucky? And what this is about is that you all have what I call energy vampires. You have things that absolutely sap all your energy from. And I developed the process for me as a principal that helped me so much that I just want to kind of talk to you all briefly what that process was like and how it helped me and how it focused me on hopefully doing the best I can to develop the culture of excellence. So to start with, if I can advance my screen, I'm a to-do list person. I've always been a to-do list person. I have beside me right now, I'm retired, but I still have a to-do list for today. And every morning I would write down all my things I needed to do. And I'm not because I'm OCD, it's because once I have them down, I can relax that I'm not going to forget them. I'm the absolute person who, even if I started away from my office, I would, when I got to my office, if I had done things, I wrote things on my to-do list just so I can mark them off later so I can feel good about that. But to help me every day focus on what was important in my school, I had to figure out what my priorities were. And every day on top of my to-do list, I wrote these 5 words. And I did this for almost 20 years. Every single day I wrote these 5 words. I don't know. I do not have a process for you to come up with these priorities. I do want you to think while we're talking, what are your professional priorities? But my priorities were curriculum, instruction, skills, motivation, and safety. I knew if I focus on those 5 things as a building leader, as a district leader, we would move forward. Every day I wrote curriculum, instruction, skills, motivation, and safety up on top of that. And how this kind of worked, even though safety is last, I put safety on the bottom because that was the foundation. Everybody in my building, every teacher, every custodian, every student, everyone had to feel safe. If they did not feel safe, that foundation would erode, and all the rest of these 4 didn't really matter. The other 4 are like a 4-legged chair: curriculum, instruction, skills, and motivation. You can have the best curriculum, have wonderful instruction. The kids and teachers have great skills, but if they're not motivated to do well on state testing, it will fall apart. You can have great instruction, great skills, great motivation, but if they're not teaching the correct curriculum, it will fall apart. So all 4 of these work together on that foundation of safety. Every single day, I wrote these 5 words on top of my to-do list. And as I did my to-do list, I would triage my events of that day to these 5 items. Parking lot is a energy vampire for me. It doesn't mean it isn't important. You have to pay attention to that parking lot. But if you put so much attention to that parking lot, the other 5 of these are going to fall apart. Now, what I want you to be thinking about as I go through here is what's one of your priorities, because we're going to go through a system that's going to help you develop just kind of a better focus. And if I have time, I'd also like to do your personal life. And that's why I'm asking Mary to see if we have time. I definitely have time to do the professional life. When I do this in the training, this is an hour and a half, 2 hours that we do. This is just a basic introduction for you guys. So 3 steps to the process for your professional life is: first, you got to set a priority. Once you set a priority, whatever those 5 were, again, mine were curriculum, instruction, skills, motivation, and safety, then you need to set a goal. Now, something I've learned since I've retired, and some of you all probably read Atomic Habits, is it doesn't matter what your goal is unless you're willing to change a habit. And that's what we're going to talk about, is what's your goal and what habit do you need to change or create to help you get to your goal. Because you can set all the goals you want, but if you're not willing to create a habit to get to that goal, it's not going to be successful. To give you an example, and on the right of this screen, this is a clip, a little bit of James Clear's from Atomic Habits. I'm not the biggest fan of that book, but there are parts of it I really like. But if you go back to my my priority of motivation, I had a goal. And my goal was that every member of our staff will receive at least 1 note of appreciation during the school year. That's everybody. That's every custodian. That's every food service. That's every teacher. That's every secretary. That's everybody. They were going to receive a thank you note somehow. The habit I created is that, and I heard the gentleman, Mr. Costa, speak before about having professional, your leadership meetings. Every Wednesday at 10 o'clock, we had a leadership meeting with my assistant principals, my counselors, my director of technology. There's about 10 of us that would meet. At 10 o'clock, it never lasted more than an hour. Everybody had a say in it. But the very first 5 minutes of every meeting, we would have a spreadsheet with everybody's name in that school on it. I bought almost 1,000 thank you notes. They were very inexpensive thank you notes. And for the very first 5 minutes, all we did was we wrote thank you notes. And we used that spreadsheet. If I wrote a thank you note to Mary Belcher, then I checked her name off. At the end of the year, we had everybody in that school receive 3 thank you notes from somebody. We created a habit. That's how we started our administrative meetings. That's the way you need to kind of think. How can you fit this in that makes it easy, that makes it satisfying, that makes it possible for this to be happening in your school? So what I'd like you to do, and Mary, how many are on here with me? I can't really tell myself.
Looks like we've got 60, including you and me.
Okay. Well, I'd like, just for a minute, I would like you just to do that process really quickly. Is just to select a priority as an educator. Think of a goal. What is your goal that you want to have happen in that? And then what's one habit to reach that goal? I want you to make it obvious, make it attractive, easy, and satisfying. That comes from James Clear work. And one thing I did learn from Clear that I really enjoyed is a helpful question or what are the characteristics of a teacher or a person that does this? For example, if you want to be a visible principal, what does if that's a goal, what does a visible principal look like? You know, that person's out in the hall, but how did they get out in the hall all the time? So just take 30 seconds, because I really don't know how much more time we have left of this, but take 30 seconds and take yourself through that process. And then I'm going to kind of take you to the next step of it.
Chip, I just got a text back from Keith. He said 10:35 or a little after would be great. The next session starts at 10:40.
Okay. And if you'd like to, in the chat, I do not have the chat pulled up right now. I'm not the best at this Zoom yet. That's a big part of growth mindset, is learning you haven't done it yet. But if you would like to share your goal and your habit, what that would be very helpful for others, because that might be the thing that they need to think about that they just haven't thought about yet. So if you'd like to share that, I'll go back in a minute and look through these and see if anybody would like to share.
I can share if anybody drops it in the chat for you.
Okay. So that was the process to help me to remain focused as a principal and a district leader, is to create a priority on my to-do list, look through that to-do list, work down through that. And as I saw things that affected my priorities, I focused on those first. If they did not focus on that, I would either delegate those or I would get those later in the day, because quite honestly, we just have so much. And if you focus on the parking lot for 3 hours a day, you will not have time to do absolutely anything else. So that's just a simple process that I did. Now, to kind of take that through, I know this is going fast. Let me go back. I'm sorry.
Build relationships was dropped in the chat.
Okay, thank you. I do have, if I'm going very quickly, and I know I am, the PowerPoint for this is available on my website. It's southworthgrowth.com, and you'll see P3 EdCamp on the very top. If you click that and would like to have that PowerPoint, that's there for you. At the end, I think I have a slide that will bring us back to that too, but I just want to make sure people had the opportunity to see that. All right. I won't talk about this much, but what I do mainly is work with mindset. I do a lot of work with Carol Dweck and mindsets, and how the way we teach students, the way we work with students, either can create a growth or fixed mindset. The way we question students, the way we do discipline, the way we do separate classroom, the way we do procedures. The biggest thing I learned as a high school principal, as a building leader, is the very bottom one of that, and that's success of others. I know a lot of building leaders, I know a lot of district leaders that want to be the smartest person in the room. The best thing I did is I hired people with as much or more talent as I did and let them do their work. I have 2 sons that I'm extremely proud of, but when I was high school principal, I hired 2 assistant principals, and both of those are now superintendents of districts. When I hired those 2 assistant principals, I knew they had as much more talent than me. And the reason I grew as a leader is that they were around me to push you or push me. If you want a school or district to die, surround yourself with yes people. All right. Now what I want to do is the exact same process, but I want to kind of focus on it on your personal life. I'm blessed. I only worked with 1 school district. I grew up in, I was hired in Scott County. I was a teacher in Scott County, did all my work in Scott County. But for the last 8 or 9 years, I've been able to travel this state and work with 80 to 90 school districts. And what I've learned with this 8 or 9 years is that we are losing great educators by the boatload. So what I wanted to do is the same process, but for your personal life. The reason I got out of being a principal is I was absolutely burned out. I still remember when I called the assistant or the superintendent wanted me to be director of secondary. I didn't want to do it, but I still remember looking at my calendar one night in May and seeing that I was at school 114 nights that year. You got to have some kind of balance. So what I want to do now is the same process, but focus it on your personal life. I have 5 goals or 5 priorities in my personal life. They're family, faith, fitness, financial. So those are my 4 F's, and intellectual. I have goals that fit under each and every one of those. I think it's very important that each and every one of you will start setting priorities for your personal life. It does not have to be any one of these 5. These are my 5. But every day I try to do something focusing on these 5. For example, faith. One of my goals is to read Bible scripture every day. Well, to make it simple, I have an app on my phone that it pops up every day. It takes a 3-minute Bible verse with a little simple lesson, and I'm able to do that. You need to be able to make whatever your goal have a habit that makes it simple. Now, my family, my sons are up and grown, but I make it sure that when we do get together, that I'm present with them. It's just a way that you think. And I'm going to put this up. Even today, I have a planner that has, if you look at it, you can look at it, and it has all of my goals and my priorities and my habits, and it helps me to focus on those. I'm almost 60 years old. I still want to be productive, and that helps me in that process. A thing that I've read, and it's mentioned in Atomic Habits, but a thing that will help you through this is a concept known as the aggregation of marginal gains or habit stacking. Dave Brailsford was the coach for the English Olympic cycling team. When he took over that team, they were an absolute mess. What he decided to do, instead of making big gains, is focus on a lot of small things. He focused on the aerodynamics of the bike, of the rider, of the everything that was aerodynamic. He focused on their diet. He focused on the way they slept. He focused on the way to wash their hands so they didn't catch colds. He had all these areas he focused on. And his idea was that if you add up all these together, the aggregation of these, you would have an incredible gain. Well, I want you to think about that in the same process in your personal life, or also with your professional or personal life. And I will give you an example in my life of something I started last January. Is I wanted to have a goal to lose a certain amount of weight. Well, I tried the keto diets, I tried fasting, and I tried these big attempts to do something, and they weren't successful. So what I tried is went back to what Brailsford said and said, all right, let's do some habit stacking. Let's do a bunch of small things. And here are the 4 or 5 things that I did over the past year that's helped me be much more successful in weight loss. I want to walk more. My goal was to add 1,500 to 2,000 steps a day, additional to what I was always doing. I don't want to walk 20 miles. I want to walk a half a mile to a mile additional every day. The big one is not to eat after dinner. Now, a lot of you say, well, how in the heck can you not want to? I'm a grazer. I would eat 500 to 700 calories after dinner. Stopping eating after dinner would save me 300 to 500 calories every day. Drinking more water, not purchasing junk food. If I don't bring it into my house, I won't eat it. Accurate scale, and that sounds funny, but I had a scale that I would get on one time and weigh 220 pounds. I get on it the second time, 2 minutes later, and I weigh 224. I get on their time, they turn 18. It was very depressing. So I bought an accurate scale. All these things together started to add up to about 1 pound to 2 pounds a month weight loss. And a lot of you think, well, 2 pounds of weight loss, that's not a lot per month. But if you do that for a year, you'll lose 24 pounds. And most of you, if you think a year from now, if I'm 24 pounds lighter, I'd be pretty happy with that. So when you're thinking about your professional life or personal life, when you're doing your habits, you don't have to do a big habit. You can do the aggregation of marginal gains or habit stack your habits up. So smaller gains to get all added up will add to a bigger gain. Now, the other thing I want you to understand about growth, and this is happening to me right now, all of us, when we go through a growth process, we tend to have a lot of growth at the very beginning. If you're wanting to lose weight, you may lose a lot of weight very quickly. You may lose 10 pounds in the first 2 or 3 months, but the next 5 pounds are much harder than the first 10 pounds. And the next 2 pounds are much harder than the first 10 pounds. And the next pound's harder than the first pound. It's harder and harder and harder. A lot of people get depressed by that, but if you understand this concept, the law of diminishing returns, you know, if any of you all have ever played golf, the first time you play golf, you may be terrible being shooting in 130s. It may not take you very long to get down to the hundreds. Then it may take you years to get down to the 90s, then more years to get to the 80s. Professional golfers, they practice 8 to 10 hours a day to save 1 or 2 strokes for a 72-hole tournament. It's just the closer, the better you get at something, it's the harder to improve at it. So a lot of us get depressed. We get down on that. Let your teachers know that as they get better, when you were a beginning teacher, the thing I talk to teachers all the time, when I was a first-year teacher, I tell people all the time, there's 160 people I need to apologize to. And it's the kids I taught my very first year, Scott County High School in 1987. But by year 5, I thought I was so good, I couldn't improve anymore. I had a mentor. The best thing he did for me was send me to a conference where there were excellent teachers, and I saw how really bad I still was, but I thought I was so good. That growth had to continue after that. But just to understand, as the closer you get to your goals, the better you get at it, your gains are going to get less. And it's going to get harder to get to those gains. Just understanding that has helped me even my weight loss. I did this very quickly at first, but now it's getting slow. It's going to be the same thing with your leadership in your school. So just understanding the law of diminishing returns. So real quickly, what I'd like you to do for your personal life, I think I've got about 4 minutes. It's just select one priority in your life. What's one goal? And what's one habit that will help you to reach that goal? Make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying.
Chip, they dropped a couple of nice things for their professional goals in the chat. I can read to you if you like.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Walk through in morning, talking to teachers and students, be an effective leader, positive and conducive learning environments, another. And the one comment, the best principals I've had were those that focused on helping their staff become the best versions of themselves. I would like to be that kind of leader. And then another is help teachers build relationships with students and teachers by recognizing and using their personal gifts.
And let's talk about that last one for a second. I mean, that's so important. When I hired my staff, I'm a very organized, straightforward type of person. I wanted to make sure I had teachers that were nothing like me on my staff. I had an art teacher in my school that was such a mess that we literally had to bring a semi truck in at the end of the year to clean her class out so we could clean it properly. But she reached so many kids in my building that was so valuable to me. But we let her be her, and she was so good for us. So what I'd like you all to have gotten out of today is basically just a simple system of how to set a priority, set a goal, and create a habit to help you get to that goal, both in your professional and personal life. Don't forget your personal life. It's so important that you guys stay fresh and stay in this. You all are part of what I believe is the most important part of American society, and that's public education. And we're losing way too many of you all. So do not lose focus of your personal life. I won't get on to celebrate incremental growth. I will kind of end on this. I want to thank you guys for choosing to listen to me today. Again, that PowerPoint is on southworthgrowth.com. I'm going to give about a 10-second plug. I'm an independent consultant. I organize my own professional development. I provide anywhere from 3 to 6 to 12 hours of professional development for both administrators and teachers, and I also can do parents. I also just developed a 6-hour professional development on mindset for classified personnel. So if you're interested in that, all that is on my website. My email is there, csouth2@gmail.com. And I want to thank you guys. You could have chosen a lot different, and you selected to listen to me, and I truly appreciate it. So, Mary, I think I've stopped at 9:35 on my watch. I was trying to get it as close as I could.
You did awesome, and what some wonderful tips you've provided for them to kind of help them to keep focused and to build that culture. That was wonderful, Chip. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any comments or questions for Chip? You've got some nice things being dropped in the chat. Mr. Southworth has done a PD at my school about growth mindset, and you did an amazing job. Great message today, Chip. You probably don't remember me, but we met years ago in Scott County at the museum. You helped me with leadership, and they're a principal at WHS in Frankfurt now. Thank you for
Ryan
your
King?
help. That is Ryan King. Yes.
I remember talking with Ryan King. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ryan, well, thanks for choosing to listen to me this morning.
Yeah, just a lot of thank yous and great message. I am going to drop in the chat for your all's convenience the evaluation for today. If you want to click on it and just kind of have it pulled up for the day, it's actually an evaluation for the full day. And if you have it pulled up, you can kind of go through and make your comments in one tab and then submit it at the end of the day for your ELA credit. But other than that, I think I can stop recording as well.